All right, I think we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Baptist Health for Her Restore Your Core 4 series. My name is Jean, your host for this series, and I'm so excited to be back with you all today for our fourth week. Can't believe it's week 4 already of this series. So just to kind of a little bit of a recap, if you joined us from the start of the series, so far we've covered finding your why, and I've also had 2 experts with me to talk about the core area of movement. But I'm excited for these next 3 weeks that we're going to be talking about sleep. Really, really important one for us. So tonight I'm joined by Wendy Camp. So Wendy, welcome. So happy to have you here.
Thank you so
Wendy,
much.
yeah, absolutely. Wendy has been with Baptist Health since 2009 and is actually the director of the stroke and telestroke programs, which is really, really cool. And she's been with us before for some Facebook Lives. But Wendy, for those who haven't maybe been in a conversation with you for talking about sleep and the other topics, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a nurse practitioner by training, and I spent a lot of time in outpatient neurology and in general neurology and treating patients with sleep disorders and migraine and a whole bunch of other things. And so sleep is something that's sort of near and dear to my heart. And I love to help people sort of troubleshoot their sleep issues and live better through routine and things like that. So.
Yes, which I know we'll be talking a lot about tonight, which I'm pretty excited about. And I can say for myself, I love sleep. I don't know, I'm maybe the number one fan, right? It's just so important for us. I think up there with, you probably would agree with, our nutrition and exercise and things like that. So I know we're going to be focusing on kind of that sleep reset, and you talked about habits. But before we get into that, could you tell us maybe a little bit why sleep is so important for us, and also maybe some effects of what a regular sleep schedule can do?
Yeah, so sleep is super important. It helps regulate a lot of different things in our body, and it's really kind of the way that our brain refreshes every night. And so, we know that people who have trouble sleeping also have trouble learning new things. We know they can experience some cognitive difficulties, problems with concentration. It can worsen other medical conditions. So if you are a patient with high blood pressure or diabetes or even obesity, we know that, lack of sleep contributes to all of those things. And so it's really, really important to kind of tackle these sleep issues early on once you've, recognized that there's a problem so that they don't turn into sort of chronic sleep issues. The benefits of sleep are kind of the opposite of all of those things. So better mood, we feel better in the daytime. We're actually, the better you get at sleep, the more likely or the less likely you are to have insomnia. So the more you can sort of keep yourself in those routines and protect your sleep, the less likely you are to have longer term issues with insomnia. I think we all struggle with it from time to time. I mean, that's very, very common. But outside of those sort of couple of days here and there, 2 or 3 times a year, if, it can really sort of lessen your risk of chronic sleep issues, and then a whole host of other chronic health problems.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I know for myself, and I'm sure you've experienced too, if I don't have a good night's sleep, I'm definitely cranky, tired. I think we were talking about like bags under our eyes, right? There's just a whole bunch
some
of
the more superficial, right?
I know, right?
Superficial issues, but yeah.
Yeah, but really for our health, mostly, it's so important.
Important.
So, you talked a little bit about how, like, a couple of nights of sleep, can kind of lead potentially, if you don't tackle it, into more issues with sleep.
Right.
So could you tell us a little bit about kind of like the levels of severity with some sleep issues?
Yeah. So like I said, it's pretty normal for people to have maybe 2 or 3 nights here and there where they're really not sleeping very well. And, some of us go through seasons of life. I have many small children. And we have, there's just times in your life where your sleep's really not going to be that great, and you're really not able to kind of get those 8 hours of sleep a night. And that, that's part of life, right? And so we all kind of have to sort of look towards the light at the end of those tunnels and kind of plan, ways that we can recapture some of that sleep. So even if you can't get a consolidated, it's a term we like to use for, sleep that's all grouped together. So that sort of, magic 8-hour number we look for at nighttime. If you can't get that all at once, then you may have to sort of add an hour or two here and there to make up for it. It is, it's not as good as consolidated sleep, but it certainly can help you sort of make up that sleep debt if you can get it at some other point in the daytime. But so like I said, there's sort of some normal variations, and then there are just seasons of life where we can't avoid it. But then there are things that start sort of small and they kind of grow into something that's not so small. And, it can just sort of be, well, I think we've all probably had this issue lately, but, and we'll touch on this in a little bit, but sort of that just decompression time at the end of the day where we want to sit and scroll through Instagram or Facebook, or you're doing chores. And I mean, I think a lot of us do a ton of online shopping. So you sort of just get stuck in that habit of having a screen in your hand, and before you know it, it's 11:30 and you got to get up at 5, so you're, just sort of sabotaging yourself a little bit. But, if it turns into something where you're really seeing issues more than 2 or 3 nights a week on a pretty routine basis, then it's turning into something chronic. And so if you've passed the 2-month mark and you're really not seeing an improvement, then, you're really headed towards a chronic insomnia situation. And that's going to probably require the help of a physician or a provider to troubleshoot that sleep disorder potentially.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. It's just kind of giving us a time frame of, if you're having this trouble, like when you should go see a professional. So that's great. So now kind of getting into that sleep reset, that, the title of our program for tonight. So could you tell us what a sleep reset is and maybe when you should start or consider starting one?
Yeah. So I'll say, if you've had 2 or 3 nights where your sleep's just not really good, and you can sort of, say you're going to take a day or two and really make sleep a priority, and you're going to be in bed before 8. And then I feel like 8 to 9 times out of 10 for people who are suffering from short-term insomnia, that usually works. And it's just kind of all right, listen, it's Friday and I realize I want to stay out or stay up and have another glass of wine and start a movie, but I need, I've really got to sort of catch up on my sleep. I mean, sometimes you can just sort of reset it with a day or two. But then there are things that are so sort of muddied, where there's so many contributing factors, it may take a little bit longer. And so, it really sort of takes examining your routine and setting some parameters around what time you're going to wake up in the morning, what time you're going to go to bed, kind of putting yourself on a schedule for a few weeks. And so really a sleep reset, which probably, 70 to 80% of sleep issues can really be tackled with kind of a sleep reset and maybe some cognitive behavioral therapy and things like that. But really focusing on the routine and then avoiding things that we know make sleeping harder and even staying asleep harder. So some people, they have trouble not just falling asleep, but they may fall asleep fine, but they can't stay asleep. And so there's kind of different things that you have to tackle a little bit, and then kind of, force yourself into a routine for a little while. And that will usually get us kind of back on track. So if you want to go through those sort of individually, we can. Okay.
Yeah, I would love to. So what would you start with, kind of the routine aspect of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So starting with a consistent, and this even goes for kids. So starting with a consistent wake time. And usually, sometimes it's kind of hard to make yourself go to bed that first night. But if you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, chances are by 9 or 10, you're going to kind of be ready for some sleep. Yeah. So picking a time, whether it's 5 a.m. to get up or whether it's 8 a.m. I mean, it really doesn't matter so much what time it is, as long as it's a consistent time. So setting that time and then sort of planning for bed, probably, 8 hours before. Ideally, you would get 8 hours. So if you're going to go out for a sleep reset, try to get to 7 or 8 hours. So consistent wake up time, consistent bedtime, a bedtime ritual, then avoiding stimulants and sedatives. So, no caffeine after noon, which is really hard when you're really tired. Yeah. So
2 o'clock. I need a cup of coffee.
Okay. So sometimes that 2 p.m. cup, though, I mean, some people are really sensitive for caffeine up to 10 hours. And so it just kind of depends on you. If you're one of those people, then you may have to cut back a little bit sooner. 2 o'clock is actually a pretty good rule. So it's definitely about 7 hours before most people's bedtime. So that's a good cutoff time. If you're doing that, or if you're close to that and you're still having trouble sleeping though, I would say, really limit yourself to that cup sometime in the morning. Maybe don't drink it right when you get up, but wait a couple hours and sort of take advantage of that natural, lull in your, some of those hormones that kind of keep us awake and energized. So if you get up at 7, maybe don't have your coffee until 9 or so, and then sort of take advantage, let that stimulant really do its thing, and then no more for the day if you're really struggling.
Gotcha.
So similarly, avoiding alcohol. So when we do, on sleep resets, I'll usually ask people to just sort of avoid it entirely for a few weeks if they can. Or really limiting it to, sounds like I need a nap, limiting that alcohol intake to a few hours before bedtime. So it kind of has a little bit of time to leave your system before you go to sleep. And it's funny because, alcohol makes us sleepy. So people really sometimes enjoy a nightcap. But actually, once the alcohol starts to leave your system, it kind of messes up the way that your brain works while you're sleeping, and it can actually wake you up. So if you, and I don't, so I'm sure some of us may have experienced this a time or two, but
maybe,
if you have a drink late at night, it's pretty common to kind of wake up around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Most of us are like, oh, I just had to get up to go to the restroom or whatever. But, it's actually your brain sort of like some of the effects of the alcohol sort of wearing off, and it's waking you up.
Yeah. And let me ask you, Wendy, so from what I've heard before about alcohol, it's about like an hour per drink that it kind of takes for your body to leave the system. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say at least. I mean, and if you're drinking more slowly, it's going to metabolize out a little bit quicker. If you're eating with it, it's going to metabolize a little faster. But yeah, I mean, at least an hour. I would say probably trying to stop, if you're going to go to bed at 9, I'd probably try to stop around 7 or 8. And certainly the more you're drinking, the harder that's going to be. I mean, it's going to still take a long time for that to leave. So yeah. So 2 hours for 2 drinks. So you'd want to stop at 7 instead of 8 if you have 2. Yeah.
Cool.
So some other things too. I mean, really, like I said, aiming for that 8 hours, avoiding the stimulants, and then the things like alcohol as well. But then also, I forgot to mention this, when you wake up in the morning, making sure to get if you can't get sunlight because it's really early, but try to get some bright light. That will help sort of suppress the release of melatonin and help you wake up. And so getting light really early after you've woken up is a really good way to sort of like, tell your brain, all right, okay, it's time to go. Like you're not really tempted to go get back in bed. You just kind of move into that daytime groove a little bit, and it helps.
So sunrise at the beach, you're all about that?
I mean, yeah, that's okay. That's my vote. The other thing too is, and we spent a lot of time last time talking about bedtime routine. The other thing that we didn't really touch on a whole lot was nap avoidance. So I know it's really tempting to try to get naps in to sort of make up for that sleep debt. And I would say if you're sort of on one of those, 2 or 3 days where you really haven't had good sleep, that naps are okay. You have to be really careful though with napping, particularly if they're longer than 15 or 20 minutes. Because they really can mess up your sleep cycle at nighttime. So for patients who are really struggling, I either recommend, if they just can't get to a place where they are they're not able to like not take a nap, then I'll say, okay, you've got to take your nap early in the morning. So like get up, do some things, go take a nap before 10 or 11 o'clock. And then, kind of go about your day. But the more time you're spending in bed during the day, the more you can sort of disrupt your sleep at nighttime, particularly if you're stuck in one of those just sort of vicious like insomnia cycles. So, especially avoiding naps after noon, but you may need to avoid them entirely for a short period of time to kind of help your body reacclimate to the fact that it needs to sleep at nighttime and be awake in the daytime. And that's obviously inverse for night shift people, but
even those short, like 15 cat naps.
I mean, those are usually pretty good. It's just really hard, I think, for some people and you just kind of have to know yourself. Like I cannot take a 15-minute nap. I'm too anxious to fall asleep in 15 minutes. Although at nighttime, I'm asleep literally within about 30 seconds. I'm pretty sure. Like I have zero problems. If I'm not stuck in an insomnia cycle, but it really isn't a problem for me to fall asleep at night. But if you are having trouble going to sleep, avoiding those longer naps is really important. So if you're not a person who can take a 15-minute nap, then don't nap, because you're
Yeah.
going to do more harm than good.
Gotcha. Yeah. And so you talked about, so we talked about routine, right? And then falling asleep. Was that the other
Yes.
one? Okay. So tell us a little bit more about maybe some things that could help us fall asleep.
Yeah. So this is where the bedtime routine kind of comes in. And so we've talked a little bit about having kind of a general routine, and a lot of people would even advise going as far as to having like consistent eating times throughout the day, especially so that you're avoiding heavy meals before bedtime. That's a big key.
Yeah.
But sort of eating at consistent times to just sort of really regulate that, circadian rhythm in your, internally, eating at similar times, exercising at the same time every day. I mean, like really, really putting yourself on a schedule. The bedtime routine, though, can be really helpful because it just sort of signals your brain within, about an hour, 30 minutes before you're going to go to bed that it's time to get sleepy. And so this is kind of the time to sort of start dimming the lights in the house, which you can tell are not dimmed at all right now. All the kids are in bed, but all the lights are on. So don't be surprised if somebody sneaks in here in a minute. But really starting to dim the lights, turn the air down, so make it cold. I know some people really, especially, we're Floridians, like we love warm weather. Well, most of us do. But it's at nighttime, your house needs to be cold to help you sleep. And so I think they've published like the optimum sleeping temperature is 68 degrees, but that's really cold coming out of an air conditioner as opposed to just 68 degrees of ambient like air temperature, right? So I usually turn mine down to around 70. I can't really take it any colder than like 71 usually.
I know. Yeah, me neither.
Or I'm in socks and a sweatshirt and 13 blankets. But, so making it cooler in your house, turning the lights down, a warm bath, herbal teas that are non-caffeinated can help with this. You can use aromatherapy. A lot of people like to listen to music. I think the real trick here is, what we consider light sources. So we talk about dimming lights. Well, that also means things like your computer and your cell phone, because they emit a lot of blue light. They have blue light filters now, which help.
That's good.
But your brain still interprets that as, it interprets those signals as light. So it's really important if you're having trouble sleeping. And again, this is not something you have to do forever, but if you're really trying to reset, maybe ditch the phone. If you need to, ditch the TV an hour before bedtime and get a book and some dim light and take a bath or, a warm shower. But that bedtime routine really doesn't have to be complicated. If you don't have time for a bath or a shower and it's just simply like washing your face and listening to some music and maybe reading for 15 minutes, I mean, that's good enough. It's just something that's done consistently, sort of at the same time every day. And it's things that help your body sleep. And help your brain sort of get into that sleepy space. And then, sort of taking advantage of being sleepy and going to bed when you're actually tired. Don't sort of like push through the sleepy time. Even if it's 8:30, I mean, if it's 8:30 and you feel sleepy, go to bed. Like, take advantage of the signals that your body's giving you and let them work to your advantage.
Yeah, I mean, our bodies know when we're tired. We just have to listen to them, right? That's a big thing.
Yes. Don't try to override it.
Yes. And it seems like this big theme here is consistency.
It is a theme.
Consistency. So then you mentioned there's a third part to this, which is if you're fine, falling asleep, but then if you wake up or staying asleep. So what are some things that could maybe help with that?
So this one's a little bit trickier. And it's, because you wake up, you're going to get up and go to the restroom. You may have trouble sort of tossing and turning after that happens. And a lot of people's tendency is to sort of get up and start watching TV or, it's kind of the same thing that they might do right before bedtime to sort of wind down. Or they'll get up and just start doing stuff because they can't go back to sleep. So, if it's close to 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, just go ahead and get up, you know what I mean? And make that your wake up time. I mean, nobody wants to get up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning if they don't have to, but there are plenty of people who start their days that early. So if your body's just consistently sort of getting up at that time, then maybe just go with it if you can, if you're, like I said, if you can, if you're a night shift worker, that might be a problem like later in the week. But, if you can go with it, use those cues to your advantage. I mean, if it's midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, it's really sort of about those same things that would help you fall asleep. So really avoid turning on the lights, avoid doing anything that's noisy or that's going to get you sort of, amped up a little bit. So, whatever you do, don't turn on the news or don't like scroll through Facebook or Instagram. I mean, just read a book, listen to music, go get another bath, things like that. Wash your face. But I will say too, though, that sometimes frequent night wakings can be a sign of something else that's going on. So if you're waking up frequently at nighttime, it's probably a good idea to talk to your doctor about that, because there might be something else that's underlying that.
And what's frequently? Is there like a number?
I mean, if it's more than once or twice consistently, or more than twice, like consistently, I would say that you probably need a sleep evaluation. Okay. And there are ways that we do that. All of that starts with taking a diary. So if you're really experiencing a lot of issues with sleeping, I think it's really important to start writing down. Maybe you're not really aware of what your schedule is. So maybe start writing down what time you're trying to go to bed. Write what you're doing before you go to bed. Obviously the symptoms that you're having. So headaches, body pain, anything like that. I mean, we know it makes our mood worse and stuff like that, but just really starting to document kind of your schedule and things that you think may be related, to sleep or to being awake. So like I said, anything with a light source, sedatives, or alcohol, caffeine, even maybe some herbal preparations that you might be taking for something else. I mean, just kind of keep track of all those things, because that's some things that a provider is going to want to go through with you to help you troubleshoot, what's really going on with your sleep schedule.
And that'll help them it'll be easier, going into your appointment, to kind of talk through that. That's good tips. Well, I do want to take a pause here, Wendy, if you don't mind. I see we have some comments here, so I want to definitely address them, see if we have some questions. So we have some hellos, so that's great to see. But looks like from a comment from Charlene, she bought an acupuncture mat, and she said when she lays on it for about 20 minutes or so, she always falls asleep. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I know. Give me one of those.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It looks like Justine had a question for you. She said, I think it may have been on our the second part of the kind of sleep routine. So how about sleep masks or melatonin?
Yeah, so sleep. Yeah, and sleep masks are really good because they block all that light. So it's funny because my husband, he's always been like, if there's even like the tiniest bit of like ambient light somewhere, he's like, I can't sleep. I cannot sleep. Like, go. I mean, even the thermostat, like what am I going to do? Like hang a blanket over the thermostat. So, but yeah, I mean, some people are just really sensitive. So sleep masks are actually really great. If you need, if you really need to block out some light that you maybe can't turn off, or, you can't put a curtain or a blind, blinds over it because it's not coming from a window, then sleep masks are really great. And melatonin definitely helps. And it kind of affects everybody a little bit differently. So melatonin is the hormone that your brain uses to signal itself that it's time to sleep. So, you can obviously take external forms of that. It's just, it's a little bit different than kind of what's actually happening in your, in your brain, but it's usually pretty harmless. Unless it's for, I think, small children or babies. Like they don't really recommend it for children under a certain age. And I can't remember what that is, but yeah, I think, melatonin can be useful.
Yeah, definitely. Looks like we had a comment here from Nita. She said I put Band-Aids
on
those little wipes.
Hi, Mom.
So Wendy, anything else that you would say to us about, just kind of a sleep reset, kind of in all, if somebody wants to, kind of give it a try, maybe starting this week?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, right. Yeah, I guess we had a little pause there. Sorry, everyone. Did you hear me for that last question?
No.
No. Okay. Sorry about that. So I guess my last question, because I did want to talk about like an interesting trending topic that we kind of alluded to in the beginning. But is there anything else that you would kind of leave our viewers with if they want to start a sleep reset for themselves? Just some kind of like big takeaways
Yeah.
for that.
I'd say give it some time. So this isn't something that's going to work like tomorrow. You're not going to do it today and be fixed tomorrow unless you're just kind of in a short, sleep cycle issue. So I would have some realistic expectations. So you may need to do some of this stuff for a couple of weeks. And it's, like I said, it's not forever. So really keep that in mind that you're really working on something hard, right now to produce some long-term gains. So keep the end goal in mind. You're not going to be banned from social media and all of your favorite things on Pinterest and Instagram and
Or
the
wine.
news or wine. Yeah. You're not going to be banned from wine forever. Or coffee. I love coffee.
Yep.
So just remember this is temporary, okay? And you're doing something really good for yourself to kind of get your brain in a better place, get your body in a better place. Consistency. So that's that consistent wake up time, light when you wake up, and then the consistent bedtime, and a little bit of a bedtime routine if that helps you get sleepy. Movement. So I know we've talked about this in other segments too, but exercise is super important for sleep. So you need to do some things to actually kind of wear your body out a little bit and help you relax. So if it's gentle stretching or Pilates or, something like that, you could probably even do it in the evening to help you sort of come down and relax a little bit. If you're really into sort of hardcore exercise where you're totally pumped and like ready to go run a marathon when you're done, maybe do that one in the morning and don't do that one closer to bedtime because your adrenaline levels are going to be up. So, really sort of take advantage of that exercise. If it's going to make you sleepy, do it, or it's going to wear you out, do it in the morning. If it's something that just sort of helps you with some deep breathing exercises, and so even if you can't really do movement because of physical limitations, then deep breathing exercises, you can look up what is it called? Like back breathing and Pilates breathing. So like the Pilates breath or yoga breathing, those really deep inhalations and then very controlled exhalations, like those are really good for to help relax your body and your brain. And then, like I said, avoiding the stimulants and sort of the sedative things and, using light and darkness to your advantage. So I think those are kind of the big ones.
Yeah, no, those are all really great tips. And I know like for myself, especially with the transition of like working from home and those kind of things, corner of my bedroom is an office. And right. I know I've woken myself up just because I left my microphone plugged in on mute and it's beeping. And it woke me up. I'm like, oh no.
Maybe you need a little pre-bedtime checklist of all the things you need to turn off before you go to bed.
Definitely. So, like I said, I want to get to this topic because it was really interesting to me when I read a few news articles on it. But it's called revenge bedtime procrastination. Oh, yes.
Yes.
So I know we talked about this, but could you kind of define that for us, Wendy?
Yeah.
And the reasons why people maybe fall into this behavior?
Okay. So I would say see also Wendy's bedtime routine for the last 2 weeks. So, it's funny. So I don't know how much of a revenge it really is. I think it's really our brain's way of saying like, listen, I need some downtime, and we talked about this a little bit earlier in our, some conversations offline, but, the American lifestyle is pretty tough on your brain. And, we go somewhere. And your brain is really not meant to just go and then sleep for 4 hours at night. Like it can't just keep up with that schedule forever. It's not built that way. And so that's your brain sort of telling you it needs some time to decompress. And so probably what's happened, I think, is the stresses of, we've talked about sort of the stresses of pandemic life and, a lot of the stress that we're just seeing from everything that's going on. And then a lot of us, like you said, we've had major disruptions to kind of our typical work days, or maybe we're not working. I mean, there's just a lot happening for a lot of people right now. And so that's really sort of brought this to light. I don't know that it's anything new. I think it's really just sort of exacerbated kind of the underlying condition of most of us. And it's just kind of about taking some time to really, I think fixing it really requires us to sort of take a kind of hard look at our schedules and our routines and really build in some time, just build in some downtime. Our kids need it, we need it. And just some time to relax. I mean, we can't fill our calendars with activity and plus all of the stress of life and just expect to be able to sleep. And so I actually did a lot of reading about that. It's very fascinating. And like I said, I fall prey to it. I mean, it's just sort of like mindless scrolling at night and you're like, ooh, look at that, and you kind of get sucked into the wormhole of the interwebs. But it's really, you may have to sort of just tell yourself you're not going to do it for a couple days, like you're going to, or you're going to do it for 30 minutes and then you're going to shut off the phone and shut off the computer and read, or, something like that. But it's really, you really got to kind of take control of what you're allowing yourself to do, closer to bedtime. So
yeah,
it's hard because it's really easy to just scroll your phone.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I feel you, and I'm sure, our viewers out there can relate. It's just, we need that time. And, it's like, well, when do we get that downtime? It's when, well, if you're a parent, the kids go to bed, but, you're sleepy, but you're like, you know what, I'm just going to push through my bedtime anyway, so that I get this, time for myself.
Yep.
I mean, The Queen's Gambit, that was quite the Netflix series that kept me
really great
up.
stuff on TV right now.
I want to catch up on my series, or talk to friends. So yeah, it can be really hard. But do you have any maybe tips that could help us alleviate that maybe a little bit?
So I think a lot of that really is sort of just you've got to kind of ditch the fear of missing out, right? So just forget the FOMO. It's going to be fine. Okay. You can finish that series. You just might not finish it this week. It might take you 2 weeks instead of a week to finish. You can't binge watch every day. Okay. Sorry. I mean, I do, I'm totally guilty. So preaching to the choir here. But just kind of realizing that there's really no urgency in what those things are. Like nothing bad's going to happen if you don't scroll Instagram for 2 hours tonight. So really looking at it for what it is. And then I think doing things to sort of relieve your anxiety a little bit. So a lot of what we contribute this revenge bedtime insomnia to is really some form of anxiety, right? So we've got, like we said, there's a lot going on in the world. So trying to stay away from things, especially in the evening, that are, what's the word that I'm looking for? Either more controversial or that you feel very passionately about, things that are really going to get you fired up about something, right? So just not to say avoid reality, but maybe in the evenings we don't watch CNN and NPR and all that kind of stuff nonstop. Maybe that's the time where we're, doing something a little more meaningful in terms of spending time with our family or playing games with our kids, or, reading some good books. Listening to some great music. I mean, it's really, it kind of makes you sort of take a purposeful look at what your activities are going to be. And again, this is a great time to get some gentle movement. I mean, there's a lot of great content on multiple different websites and apps in terms of, I think movement that's sort of intended for the purpose of helping you relax, whether it's yoga or stretching or whatever. But, use that time for something a little more meaningful that's going to help you. And so, but it takes intentionality. It takes, really thinking that that's what you're going to do. It's really easy to plop down on the couch and just sit there with your thumb and your phone. Just put it down and go do something else for a couple of days in the evening. There was something else I wanted to mention and I totally forgot what it was, but I think we can probably cover it next week because I'm sure I'll remember it as soon as we log off.
Yeah, right. That always happens. I do the same thing. I walk from one room to another, forget things, then walk back, remember it. Yeah, all those things.
Yeah. Mom brain. Yep.
Actually, we have a question here from Carla. So, and I hope I pronounce this right. So can you address tinnitus and sleep?
Tinnitus.
Tinnitus. I'm sorry. I read that wrong.
You know what? I'm not super familiar with how to manage that with I know it causes some sleep disruption. Mm-hmm. But I'm not super familiar with what to do specifically at bedtime. I mean, I would imagine it's things that you would typically do to reduce tinnitus anyway. So for those of you that don't know, that's ringing in the ears. Yeah. And so obviously if you have it and it's benign, that's great. If you then it's sort of just symptomatic management so that you can go to sleep. And I'm sorry, I'll have to do a little bit of research on that. If you have tinnitus and you're not really sure what it's from, I think it's worth a medical evaluation to make sure that there's not something potentially serious. So tinnitus can be fairly benign, or it can, signal something pretty severe. So just sort of paying attention to the quality of that and making sure you're, seeking help from your physician or your provider if that's a new thing for you. But I'm guessing based on your question that it's probably not a new thing, but I'll have to do a little bit of research. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm not super familiar with it.
Yeah, and luckily, Wendy, we'll be together next week, so
we will.
Maybe we can talk a little bit about that. So, Carla, I hope you tune in with us. We will address your question then. And that actually brings up, before we kind of end for today, I do want to get your last words of wisdom, Wendy, but just to remind everybody, Wendy's going to be joining me for second week for sleep, just because sleep is such a big deal. You're such a great expert and awesome to talk to, by the way.
Yeah.
But anyway, so if you guys have any questions specifically about sleep or something you want us to cover, feel free to put in the comments here, or you can actually message for her and we'll get that from you and we'll be able to cover that. So just wanted to put that out there. So Wendy, as we kind of wrap up a little bit from our conversation, based off, just our part one of this sleep series, for those maybe who want to try it going into the next week, what are some last kind of words of wisdom you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, I would kind of say make a plan, go ahead and look at your calendar and see if it's something you can actually do this week. I mean, because some of you, you may be up with some deadlines, or you've got sick kids, or, who knows what's going on, but make sure that you give yourself enough time to be successful. And like I said, kind of look at your calendar and make sure you can squeeze it in. So you really, if you're going to go for the 7 or 8 hours a night. So you'll need to be able to, if you're getting up at 5, you're going to need to be able to go to bed at 9, 9 or 10 at the very latest. And, really sort of make a plan. Like you're going to, if you're going to go to bed at 10, then 9 p.m. is kind of your shutdown time, right? Like you stop working, stop sending emails, stop looking at Instagram, stop, I say Instagram a lot, but Facebook too. I mean, anything on social media and anything kind of on your phone, because the light source is really a problem.
Yeah.
Dim the lights, make it cold, go get a bath, drink some hot tea, make your little bedtime routine, kind of figure out what, you would want to see in a bedtime routine and figure out how much time you can spend doing it, and just sort of, sketch it out on paper for a couple days and see what it looks like. And then give it a real good college try. I mean, just, give it a go. It's not, it's certainly not going to hurt anything. And if you're really just not successful, then talk to your physician about it. But I will say, there are some therapies out, like with behavioral health, that can help with these things. So if you're really struggling, 80% of this is cognitive behavioral stuff. So, it might help to talk to an expert. And then if it's really something different, and your primary provider, can figure this out, whether you really want a sleep study or visit with a sleep specialist, or whether behavioral therapy is really the way to go. But I think really discussing this with your provider, because they'll know the rest of your medical history, and just having a really good conversation with them, can help things a lot. So.
Yeah, great in summary of everything that we kind of talked about. And just to add in there, make it realistic too, right? So don't try to, bath time, bubbles, all this stuff, if it's just not in the cards.
Don't give yourself a 3-hour bedtime routine if you've got 15 minutes.
15 minutes, yeah.
Be realistic, yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Wendy, thank you so much for joining me tonight. This was a whole lot of fun, and I'm excited that we're with each other again next week to talk a little bit more about sleep. So, for those who are joining in, again, mark your calendars, or be sure to like the Baptist for Her page and turn on your push notifications so that you remember to tune in each night. And also, if you're enjoying our virtual programming, we're so happy that you're with us, and you kind of want to know a little bit more about For Her and just kind of the programs that we offer. I would like to welcome you to visit the link that we have up above us, and put your name in and your email, so you can get some updates regularly. So thank you again, Wendy, so much, and I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their night, and we'll see you again next week.